Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Um,
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Great. So I want to be sure if everyone can hear us. YouTube, Facebook.
Can everybody hear us? If you
If you
can
can
hear
hear us,
us,
just put in the chat box. Just make a comment by saying yes if you can hear us. On the chat box, just make do with that. Once we are sure, then we can forge ahead.
yeah, I think Habib will give people some time to join the stream because I mean it will take time for them to join. So I mean, but we're excited to be here, and it's been a long one coming for us at How Finance that we're gonna have this business clinic series. Um, and you're all going to learn about all the things we have planned for you. It's a series exclusively for small and medium sized businesses. If you're, whatever industry you're in, and you're looking for some insight on how to, grow your business in a halal way, we're here to give you some more insights, especially on the financing side, and you get to learn a lot more about how finance, right? So, Habib, I
Let's just
mean,
wait.
let's
Yeah,
wait.
let's
Let's
just
wait.
wait maybe 2-3 minutes. Let's see if we would have more people join.
Okay then.
Yeah, I think we have Kolila
Oh, that's
joining
great.
via YouTube.
That is exciting.
Um, so before we start fully, of course, in the course of putting these posts up, a whole lot of people sent messages that, oh, we really need this. We've been doing businesses, and
Hmm.
sincerely we've forgotten that we forgotten about the, should I say, the halal, or should I use the word spiritual part of it again. So it's really good this is coming up. At least we can
Hmm.
be um it will prick our conscience again, and we can remember that, oh, we need to follow some practices as far as doing business is concerned. You get. So I hope people get to benefits and practice whatever we say here. It's really,
Yeah,
really important.
yeah. And I think with ethics, right, the practical aspect is the more important part. There's a
Yeah,
lot of theory, but yeah, there's we're hoping that as we go along, and you drop your comments, would also learn from you on how to better implement real life situations, because it always comes down to the real life situations, the everyday scenarios in your business. So we're also looking forward to learn from you as much as you also get benefit from us, right? If you're joining us live, please do share with your on your social media pages, get your friends to come on, your co-industry players, your
yeah,
competitors. Bring them on, let's all share, let's all learn, because at the end of the day, our businesses need knowledge to grow as well, right? So it's not just money, we also need knowledge as well. So
definitely, definitely.
let's let's see, we'll give some
So
time, and yeah.
when we need to start, just give me the go ahead, and
Okay,
we'll
okay.
start. Definitely.
All right then. I think for time purposes, maybe once we get on the 5 minute mark, we can just
Okay.
go right into it, because we do have a whole hour of you know of stuff packed out for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know we have busy business people, but we hope that we can get more people to join us
Yeah,
live.
it's best for people to join, for them to know. Oh, Ismail just made a comment.
Nice, great job. Yeah, please tell us where you're joining from as well. If you're joining from Abuja, Lagos, outside of Nigeria, if you're joining from Europe, Asia, yeah, introduce yourself. We want to know where you're joining from, right? So I think while we have more people join and get their friends and colleagues and other people that they think find benefit in this join, we can go right into kind of talk about how finance, our journey, our story, and why we're here today. Why are we here today for you? And to share some insights with you, and we will continue to do so every month and through our social media pages. So we'll start with our presentation.
Yeah. So just to start, we would like to introduce you to Hal Finance. Of course, this is our first live webinar, live session, bringing to you revising business ethics. So basically, Hal Finance is an Islamic finance resource center, of course, set up in Lagos. And our major goal, our aim is to address the knowledge gap as far as Islamic finance is concerned amongst the Muslim community, and not necessarily for Muslim community, to be sincere. Over my working experience, I've come to realize that even non-Muslims enjoy the benefits and would want to even know more about Islamic finance. So basically, that's what we are set up for, to ensure that we kind of bridge the knowledge gap. And speaking to that, we are set out to changing the narrative as well. That is, we want to, there are a lot of preconceived notion about Islamic finance being a subterfuge of the conventional finance and maybe a rebranded conventional finance. But our mission in Hal Finance basically is to kind of, in a way, address this misconception. And one of the ways we intend to solve this or tackle this is through number one problem, which we know that it's knowledge gap. Most of us, like I said earlier, that the concept of Islamic finance is largely vague and unknown to most Muslims and even non-Muslim. So our own mission here is to simplify that knowledge. And another thing, again, that we know that has been a problem is lack of trust. There are suspicion of, even from Muslims, that, like I said earlier also, that Islamic finance is a subterfuge of conventional finance. We want to demystify that for everyone. You get? So if you are having a trust issue with Islamic finance, we at Hal Finance are here to demystify that for you. If you don't have interest, right? Maybe you think, how will I put it? Is still zero interest, you can't do this. We are here to amplify that for you so that to reject that interest wherever it is. The other thing we want to do again is to engage everyone, because we know that there is low financial literacy across board. So our mission is also to engage our audience. You get teaching them the values of Islamic finance and finance in a broader sense of it. So this is what we want to do in terms of changing the narrative. Now, as to what we do this along 4 pillars, which we call the ACT pillars, ACCT, right? So one of the A for the ACT pillar stands for advisory. We offer high-value advisory services to business, to institutions, and social service institutions to better harness the Islamic financial model. Because, like I said, it's new to a lot of people, and it has a lot of benefits, provided we can tap into it. The C, which is the next, it represents capacity building. We believe that for people to embrace Islamic finance, they need that knowledge. Hence, we want to be able to reach out to these people through our learning and development outface, so that we can begin to narrow the knowledge gap that we currently have. The next is community engagement. Our mission here in Hal Finance is to engage stakeholders, maybe primary, secondary schools, universities, companies, communities, trying to exemplify, trying to promote the importance of Islamic finance, you get. And we believe that if we can do this, gradually, slowly, over time, people will begin to embrace Islamic finance, not just embrace, understand its concepts, and not just think it's a religious thing alone, but it has values that can better our lives. The T, which is the last of the ACT pillars, is technology. you all will agree with me that technology is the core, like technology is the future. And at our finance, we don't want to be left out. So we believe that whatever services, whatever resources that will be dishing out, we would be leveraging technology as much as possible to reach out to you. And yeah, so that is really a brief, though I've said a lot about our finance. So having said that, we'll be going straight into the main reason why we're having this live session, which is the theme for today, the Halal Business Clinic, which Latifa would just help
Yeah,
us with.
yeah. Can you hear me clearly?
Very well.
All right, great. So yeah, thank you, Habib, for taking us through that introduction to how finance and our ACT pillars are very dear to us. And I think that just to emphasize community engagement is the fact that we're very, we try to engage our communities, at least on social media so far. We have a lot of, content that, breaks down, simplifies some of the basic concepts on Islamic finance. So if you're not following us yet, please go follow us on all of our social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. And, we're really there to bring the knowledge to you and simplify it for you, and hope that this can benefit you, whether you're a person of the Muslim faith or not, but you understand that there's value, and at the end of the day, value is very important for humanity. Alrighty, so we just also wanted to, maybe, like, for those who don't know us yet, we're the co-founders of Half Finance. We have a third co-founder, Khalila, and the three of us, the three of us are Islamic finance enthusiasts and practitioners, right? So we have experience, in Islamic capital markets, in venture capital, in takaful, all the emerging aspects of Islamic finance. We only haven't practiced, Islamic finance. We've also studied it, so at different institutions, both in Nigeria and abroad. So we're here to really offer you the value that we have seen in this industry. Whether, majorly for the Muslim community, yes, but, for all those, because we don't know that even in Nigeria, a lot of people invested in the sukuk, for example, and we're not, federal government sukuk, and we're not Muslims, but allowing them understand the fundamentals, the basics. How can we marry these institutions? How can we how can we understand the Islamic finance space alongside the conventional and take value from it? A lot of, organizations and a lot of countries are doing this, right? So that's really the future. Now, going into today's Hal Business Clinic. Hal Business Clinic is a very, very exciting initiative for us, and it's one of our major gigs when it comes to community engagement. Right? We want to engage you. We want our SMEs. So a lot of the things we've been doing is really been on our social media, has really been focused on like basic print, concepts in design finance. It's more at the personal and individual level, but now we want to bring it to you, the SMEs. Right. And entrepreneurship is a big deal. There are a lot of entrepreneurs out there, all kinds of entrepreneurs, whether it's large scale, medium scale, but, everybody's getting into business, right? And we know that knowledge is also important. We want to be that partner. We want to be that resource center that you can come to and get some simplified and practical insights for your business. We want to focus on the financing aspect, but also the other aspect, the strategy, the ethics. We want to be that partner for you. And our main aim is to propel your business profits and impact, right? A lot of large institutions have, they have large investments in research and development, and they have access to learning and development, right? But for the SMEs, we know that there is a gap there, and we want to come in there. Aside having an advisory platform where we advise, and charge, for that advisory, for those who want to access, also the financial services. This business clinic is really here for us to give you those fresh insights, have your questions, share your, and also bring you a whole lot of things to propel your business profits and impact, obviously with the halal in mind, right? Because we are particular about that. I'm particular about, businesses that have a halal mindset. And I also show that businesses who are not particular will also find a lot of benefit, but, that's our focus. And
Just
over
to
the,
add,
yeah,
just to
sorry.
add to what you said,
Yeah, go ahead.
you know, Nigeria particularly, based on PwC survey that was conducted last year, we
Okay.
have about 37, if I'm very correct, about 37 million micro businesses in Nigeria. And according to the statistics again,
Mm-hmm.
these millions or these small businesses are actually
Mm-hmm.
responsible for about 50 or more of the GDP, which of
Wow.
course is also why we need um, to introduce resource like this for people to learn, because we believe that when we begin to churn out content like this or resources like this to help small businesses, we can begin to have them grow and develop
Mm-hmm.
into maybe medium size and maybe large corporations tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very important for us, and we hope that we get to achieve that. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Habib. So, I mean, looking into like what do we have lined up for you? Like, we we're not joking when it comes to the business clinic. You should just know that we're not joking. We
Of
really
course.
have things lined up, and some of the things we want to be focused because it's going to be a monthly series, and we want you to always come back and come back for more. So we're going to look at industry specific industries, agribusiness, construction, fashion designing, like we're going to look at specific industries, and we're going to start bringing in industry experts on strategy, right? That we can benefit from. We're also going to look at business financing. That is our forte, right? That's how finance is forte. We want businesses to have access to halal Sharia compliant financing. We want business. And so we will begin to deep dive into some of the things you should know as a business owner when you want to access funding, when you want to access financing. What are the things you should know, right? Whether it's equity, whether it's debt. How do you prepare yourself for those things? We want to give you some insights there. Product reviews, whether you're approaching a financial institution, what are the products that you can access from them? We will bring, and our hope is to bring, those financial institutions to tell us more about their products, and then have you guys ask them questions. And then obviously basic business financial literacy, that is core for us. A lot of businesses are still struggling with record keeping, a lot of businesses are struggling with preparing financial statements, tax filing. So we want to address some of those financial literacy issues as well. And we are really hoping that this lineup will transform the SMEs that will follow us along this journey. So now to the business of the day. What is the first session for today? Let's zoom in. It's business ethics. Habib, do you want to take us on this journey?
Sure, I'm more
Yeah,
than happy to do that.
please go ahead.
Um, so, basically, for me, when when we decided to pick this topic, and I started asking myself that
Mm-hmm.
why business in the first place? Why do we even need to conduct business? And it's really a no-brainer. And for us to actually engage in, for us to actually have some means of sustenance and livelihood, we need to engage in business. And we need to be very careful when we use the word business. For example, I'm an employee in a company. I'm also in business, you get, because I'm kind of doing business with my skill, that is trading my skill for a monthly salary, in this case,
Mm-hmm.
from my employer. So in that case, I'm in business.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike during the old time, even during the lifetime of the prophet, for example, where
Mm-hmm.
the word used majorly is trade and commerce. But now we have business, or should I say corporation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why do we even need to be in business? Like we have for self-sufficiency and self-sustenance is one reason why we need to even be in business, because for us to, I remember there's this saying of the prophet that
Okay.
from one of the sunan that Allah had already made provision of what we would hit 50,000 years before we were created. So no man was even created in the first place without his own sustenance or means of livelihood. You get prescribed for him before he even came to the face of the earth in the first place. So it is now left for us to now, maybe through the skills or whatever things we've acquired over the time, to now use this to get some means of livelihood. And that is for me what the essence of business, for you to what make a livelihood. Now, bringing it now to what is in line with maybe halal or halal principles. For example, I would really want to start with because if you look at it basically, when you're in business, in one way or the other, directly or indirectly, you are in the process of acquiring wealth. You get through by maybe having the means of sustenance. And there's this hadith that we have on our screen by Rafi bin Khadij, saying, narrating from the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, saying that what type of earning is best? And the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam replied that a man's work with his hand and every business transaction that is approved. If we should look at this critically, it means that for us to even be in business, number one, we must come to terms with what Allah wants. You get, that is one of the reasons why we even need to be in business, because remember, He is the one in charge of our sustenance. You don't have a control over it. All you just have control over is that you have hands, you have legs, you can move here and there, you have skills that you've acquired over time, and you want to what? Earn a living from it for you to even survive in the first place. Right? So having said that, knowing that okay, we even need to be in business for us to be self-sufficient, right? For us to have any living, for us not to even die, for us to survive. For a Muslim or someone that is conscious or someone that wants to be in line with what Allah has prescribed as far as practicing business is concerned, then the person must what? In the course of going out on a daily basis, the person must understand that his sustenance is from Allah. And there is a beautiful narration from the Prophet to qualify this, that be like the bird that goes out without knowing if he's going to get something, you get, but comes back with the food. How do you even know that you even come back with even food to eat or something in the first place? Which means that it is important to put our trust in Allah, right? In first place, then do what is needed from us. We cannot sit down in our house at our comfort zone and expect what food to fall on the table for us. It will never happen. So, to reiterate, the reason why we need to be in business in the first place is for self-sustenance, for us to survive, for us to live. And as far as Islam is concerned, Islam has totally and so supported us venturing into trade, commerce, and business as you would have it. You understand? So that is it for me. I would like to copy. I don't know, Latifa, if you have.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head, right? Yes, Islam business is very important. It's praised in Islam, and there's a hadith that Prophet ﷺ said that the honest businessman would have the same ranks on the day of judgment of the person who prayed, in the night and fasted in the day, because he brings he brings excellence to the business that he does, right? And we know that it's a struggle. It's a daily struggle to be in business and bring excellence and bring piety and bring everything, right? And so that is why it's almost like a struggle. It's rewarded. It's highly rewarded, and that's why we want to remind ourselves here today that and we're going to go into more detail about that, but it is an act of ibadah. It is a way to contribute to your economy, right? Why are we talking about? Because we know all those small businesses out there. You guys are doing a great job contributing to the economy. You're creating jobs. You're making products. You're increasing the GDP. Let's even if we think macro, right? And from a zakah point of view, the business being in business also, and probably increases the potential for you to be a zakah payer, right? Increases your potential to be a zakah payer. So these are all the things, and that is why business, we think that it's very important for us to talk business. And now go into, for those who are in business, don't just do business, but remember what this hadith says: a man's work with his hand and every business transaction that is approved. And that is what we want to talk about: that is approved, that is in line, that is ethical, that is halal.
Yeah.
So we'll go right into the next slide. And
just before we go right into the next slide, something came to my mind now in terms
go
of
ahead.
significance of business. And I think Allah reiterated that in different ayahs in the Quran, trying to even underscore the importance of you to even be in business. There is this perception at times by some people that, oh, I don't want to go and do business, or I don't want to sell a company because I'm scared of amassing wealth that will now make me. You get, and I think that thinking needs to be corrected, because there's for example, look at the Surah Umar, where Allah says what means that then after the prayer is offered, disperse in the land and look for Allah's bounty. You get, that is even or as Muslims, of course, we categorize Friday as one of our festive periods or festive days. You get,
Mm-hmm.
just because of the importance of business for you to what? For you to earn from Allah's bounties. Allah has even commanded after your prayer, spread through the land to seek sustenance, to seek my bounty. You get
Mm-hmm.
so many hires. He talked about the importance, even during Hajj. During Hajj in Surah Al-Baqarah, he also gave another reason why you need to be in business. You know, the Hajj period is like the spiritual, the highest of the highest in terms of spirituality
Mm-hmm.
for Muslims. But even at that, Allah still commanded them that you can do trade, you can do business. In Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 189, Allah stated that. So, knowing this, I think in the mind of everyone, we should not have any form of doubt that, oh, I'm doing business and I might maybe kind of maybe going against what Allah has ordained or something. No, Allah has 100% supported the what? Doing business, engaging in trade, engaging in commerce. So I think it's important for everyone to know this, to show you that business, trade, commerce is very, very important if you want to survive. In fact, it is a no-brainer and it is a better alternative than to beg. If time permits, we can dive down into that. But the next, of course, is ethics, right? So when the word ethics comes to people's mind, of course, um, ethics is from, we have different definitions of ethics. Definitely, we have uh, from a conventional point of view, ethics is basically the moral principle guiding a certain people so that they can differentiate what is right or what is wrong, what is good or what is bad. And because of this moral code, a lot of organizations, businesses, even individuals have their own ethical code, or should I say principles. You understand that, oh, I do not want to engage in things that are bad, or we don't want to engage in bad practices. And something comes to mind when we try to explain business ethics. It's really broad, to be sincere. It's really broad. And personal, I think not until recently we people do not talk more about business ethics. And I've come to the conclusion that if we don't face crisis, we don't tend to revisit topics like this.
Mm-hmm.
An example is the 2008 financial crisis, the global financial
Mm-hmm.
crisis. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that was even what spurred Islamic finance in the first place,
Mm-hmm.
because what led to that crisis was 100% a result of so many unethical practices.
Hmm.
You get, of course, this is not the platform to go into details, but one can understand that not being ethical, you get, in the plain word, not being ethical was one of the reasons why we had that crisis. And you could see the resulting effect, the impact. So many
Mm-hmm.
people lost their jobs, so many people lost their wealth, people died, companies collapsed, companies were acquired, and a whole lot of things. It was the aftermath of this crisis that terms like ethical investing, sustainable investing, ESG, responsible finance started coming up. And that actually brought me to the conclusion that, sincerely speaking, when we begin to go back to the roots from what the Quran and the Sunnah had said, to be sincere, we will be doing justice to ourselves as far as business practice is concerned, as far as our moral principle is concerned. You understand? Because if you look at ethical, responsible finance, sustainable finance, all
Mm-hmm.
are in a way enshrined in what we have as maybe Sharia compliant or halal today. And that is why gradually the world is gravitating and embracing these practices. You get little by little. And of course, that is why we've brought that to everyone today. And from as a Muslim, um, the Prophet Sallallahu is an
Absolutely.
example of when we talk about ethics, because he did business, and as an occupation, he was a businessman. We all know that. And there was an hadith, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Aisha reported that the Prophet is what? The walking Quran, that everything Allah said in terms of practical aspects, you will see it in the actions and practices of the prophets. And from a business point of view, what are the minimum things that you need to uphold? You get ethically. One of it is justice. Another one is fairness. Another one is transparency. And there are a whole lot of them that we can begin to talk on, of course, which we will touch on as we move on. So business ethics, it's a no-brainer. It's something that whether no matter how small a business is, whether you are your own you're your own boss, whether you have one employee or two employee, you need to what uphold the necessary moral guide, moral code for what practicing business. Of course, we'll be talking about that as we go on. And the first on that, I don't know, before we even go there, I don't know if Latifa, you have anything to add to whatever I've said
Yeah,
thus
yeah,
far.
I'm sure everyone is looking at the cupcakes and they're like, "What's going on?" You know, what's with the cupcakes? What I really wanted to emphasize here was the fact that, like what Habib said, business ethics is a hot topic, and that's because the world has seen crisis. Because crisis that resulted from people throwing away their ethics, people not even regarding any ethics, and now the world is crumbling and saying we want ethics, right? And maybe as small business owners, we don't really know this, but when you go into the professional world, for example, those of us taking the CFA, we know that ethics is like if you don't pass ethics here, you don't even know anything in CFA, and that's because they understand that, they understand that um, ethics is very important. Professional world, business world, there are a lot of regulations. Maybe maybe in our Nigerian context, it might not be as harsh, but when you go to some other Western nations, you see the ethics around business, around business ethics, even taking gifts from customers. Some of the kind of things they would say, you'd be like, kilo, as in, what's the big deal about this thing, safe? You'd be like, but because they understand the implications for it, right? And that's and what they say is that I remember taking a course in business ethics. We had a whole course, at uni in business ethics, and it was always espoused as a win-win, that if you're ethical, most likely you'll be more profitable, right? That is how it was always
Exactly.
espoused to us, that if you're ethical, you'll be more profitable because you'll be more sustainable. You have long-term customer trust, customer integrity, those kind of things. And they say it's a win-win, right? You win, the world wins, right? But I wanted to also emphasize that when as a business who is mindful of Allah's laws as well, there's also a topping for you. You don't just have the cake, you also have the topping. Okay. And that is why I say it is a double win. It's a double win because as believers, we know that it's not just about this life. We don't only live once, right? Like they say, it's not YOLO. We don't only live once. We live in this world, and there's also the consequences in the hereafter. And we know that it's a double win. If you can maintain those halal ethics in your business, you win in this world, even though there might be, it might look like in the short term, it's hard, it's this, it's that, and you also win in the hereafter. And that is Allah's promise, right? So
Exactly.
we dive in and we go to the next topic.
Yeah.
You as the business owner, now we want to tackle you. If you're watching us right now, it's not about, because a lot of times in today's world, we look at the business separate from the owner, right? The business, and we're like, my business, my business, my business. But then we need to look at the person, the brain behind the business is the one that has to be ethical first, right?
Yeah.
The brain behind the business has to be ethical. And so what are those things that we thought that it was important for us to emphasize as a business owner? You own a business or you're about to start a business. What are the things you should keep in mind? The first thing, profit with principle. We know that, and as a teachers in school, the main purpose of a business is to maximize profits. Business studies, SS1. They'll teach us. That is what profit is. That's the essence of business, to maximize profit, and that is the capitalist mindset. Yes, we want to maximize profit, and there's nothing wrong with maximizing profit from a Sharia point of view. Maximize your profit, however, with principle, and that is the mindset that as a business owner you should have. That I'm going to make profit. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to provide the best product, give the best pricing, have the best customers, best packaging, whatever. Make your profits, right? But make it with principle. Make sure that all the principles of that we're going to treat as well as we go along, and you remember that all the principles that as a believer, right? Being kind, being transparent, being just and fair. And I'm going to talk about justice and fairness in and of itself because that's a very important concept when it comes to business. Then social responsibility is another thing that I think that as a business owner, you need to understand that you are not an island. Okay, you are not an island. Everything you do in your business has an impact. on the next person, on your customers, on your suppliers, on your employees, um, on your immediate community, your immediate environment. If I you know For example, we all know, I mean, I don't want to go to the big businesses, but we all know that big businesses, for example, the oil producing businesses, we know that they are causing spillages. I mean, there's spillages are different things that is, ruining the earning capacity of the surrounding communities. Whether as basic as noise, even noise pollution. If you have a business and you're locating your business in an environment where you're causing discomfort for your neighbors, for example, that is not proper business ethics. You need to understand that you are socially responsible. You are not an island. You are impacting. If you are putting fake, things into your product, it's impacting the other person. Whether you're making skin products, and you're putting, all sorts of chemicals, it's affecting the next person. It's affecting their what's it called, their skin and things like that. So we need to think social responsibility as well, right? And you are not an island. You are impacting the next person. Accountability to Allah, right? So we've talked about social responsibility. That's kind of accountability to the people. But think about the fact that accountability to Allah is your ultimate. Yes, you have government regulation. No, yes, you have your local associations and whatnot, right? But there's ultimate accountability to Allah in everything that you do. And that should be your mindset, that whatever I'm doing, I know that I'm going to be accountable for it, right? And then there's also the sense of gratitude. I think that as a business owner, one of the things that will ground you ethically is when you are grateful, because the current business world things makes us focus a lot on greed and more and more. I want more, 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 which is fine, right? But when you're not grateful for what you have, you forget, how far you have come, right? And
Exactly.
even in the Islamic principle, we know that Allah says, "In shakartum la azidannakum," and it translates to mean that if you thank me, I will increase for you. So all those aggressive, hustle, we must get it, we must, this my sale target, blah 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 blah. Yes, it's great, right? But remember gratitude. Choose gratitude over greed, and that's what I would say. Choose gratitude. Remember to be grateful. Remember, and it sounds like some spiritual thing, but it's an ethical. I think that it's a very very when you don't look to your blessings, right? You forget how far you've come, and you even forget to take the lessons from how far you've come, right? And then charity as a means to increase, right? So we talk about gratitude, that Allah says if you're grateful, He will increase you. But think about charity as a means to increase, that also as a business owner, I know that you want to maximize your profit, but also seek to give in charity. This cannot be emphasized as Muslims, right? But you'll be surprised how many organizations, go give in charity. They have charitable MTN Foundation, Kinicom Foundation. They all have foundations, Dangote foundations. Not just because of the CSR, right? There's also the fact that obviously you're doing CSR. People are recognizing your brand and whatnot. But as an individual, assuming nobody even knew you, Lagbaja and Co. Nobody knew you, but you're doing that charity. Know that it's a means of barakah. It's a means of increase for your business. Okay. And be charitable in your mindset. Be charitable in your mindset. Not that you want to, you don't want to make profit. Like I said, profit is the first thing, it's the anchor, but at least make room for charity, because it is a source of increase in business. Justice and fairness, right? As a business owner, right? Justice and fairness cannot be overemphasized in the Islamic faith, and you just have to be just in dealing with all your stakeholders and be fair, right? And I know that it's very difficult. Even when they say Iman wants to marry a second, they're like, Allah says be just, right? It's almost like justice and fairness is almost central to our being as Muslims, and we need to bring it into business as well. Dealing with my employees, I'm dealing with my customers, I'm dealing with and justice also means that you're also standing up for yourself. It doesn't mean that you're just giving away your rights. It means that you're also, standing up for yourself and standing up, for your employees. You're giving people their dues, and you're also receiving your dues. You're also standing up for your dues. So it's not just give, give, give. It's also standing up for your dues. Even remember the Prophet Sam says that,
Yes.
he praised the person, the man who died defending the honor of his family, who died protecting his property, right? He's like a martyr, right? So if you are also like, justice and fairness doesn't just mean that you're giving, giving, giving. It means that you're giving the right to others, and you're also demanding your own rights. Justice and fairness, right? That is, what as a business owner, the mindset that you should have: profit with principle, social responsibility, ultimate accountability to Allah, gratitude, charity. Another charity obviously comes zakah, and then justice and fairness. And then I don't know whether Habib, anyone stands out for you that you really want to hammer on before we quickly move on because of time.
Yeah. So while you were speaking, there is this
Mm-hmm.
concept that comes to mind that I think the business world has forgotten, really.
Hmm.
That is the concept of baraka. Of course, it
Hmm.
doesn't appear on your income statements, your balance sheet. No, you get. But coming from the back of the mindset of the business owner and what the business owner should focus on venturing into a
Mhm.
business in the first place is that concept of baraka, knowing that whatever I do, knowing that I do it in line with what Allah has said, I'm not just in business, I am also worshiping Allah.
Mhm.
Because I know there's an hadith, I can't just remember where the source from that hadith, that when you are doing business, when you're in trade and commerce, and you are doing this in line with what Allah has prescribed, then
Mhm.
invariably you are worshiping Allah. It's an act of ibadah. And this thing needs to be at the back of our mind. And for example, look at what Allah said in Surah Al-Baqarah, where He talked about if you take interest, that in your sight it might increase, but in the sight of Allah it is not
It doesn't
increased. So if you
increase.
give charity, Allah will multiply it. And let's come to our daily world. Look at those that give out the most. They are one of the richest. Talk about Bill Gates, talk about Warren Buffett, talk about
Mhm.
all these philanthropists. I don't know
Mhm.
if people have ever asked this question that, oh, as much as they've given, because these people have given out billions in dollars, their wealth has not still decreased. You get, their wealth has not decreased. And for me, the only concept to explain that basically is that the concept of baraka, which has
Mhm.
totally been eroded from business practices today.
Mm.
And for us to begin to reap that, be it a business owner, be it an employee in a company, we always need to put this at the back of our mind that I am in business or whatever work I'm doing, I am doing it to please Allah. And
Mhm.
when we begin to think about that, in a way, you get knowingly or unknowingly, our practice will begin to conform with what has been prescribed by the Sharia, by, and it's ethical in a way. And you would agree with me that if you have been doing this, I think the world would have been a better place long before. Yes, the world would have been a better place. And you said that already, that it's hard, it's tough. Of course, look at Lagos, for example. You get the hustle and bustle. If
Mhm.
you tell me that an average Lagosian is hungry, you get,
Mm.
because you
Hmm.
have to struggle for almost everything.
Everything.
You get, so because of livelihood, I think people have lost that. People have lost that conscience to be
Mhm.
fair, to be just, all in the sake that see people do it. You understand? But
Mhm. If you
forget
can't beat them, you join them, right?
exactly, exactly, and they will say the end justifies the means. But they
Exactly.
are
Then
forgetting the
justify the
fact that
means.
hey, there is a concept of barakah, or should I say the concept of blessing. You get, coming from sources that you don't even know. You get,
Mhm.
there is a spiritual blessing on whatever
Mhm.
business you do. Thinking that if you think that your successes today is just by your own self and self alone, by your own brain, I'm sorry, you are joking. You get,
Mm.
you
Mm.
are
Mm.
joking because we've seen empires in the past
Crumble.
have
Mm.
reigned and they've gone to their ruins today.
Mhm.
So I think for me, my own addition is just for people to begin to enliven in that what concept of baraka, or should I say concept of
Mm.
blessings. So
That's
that's it for me.
Thank you so much, Habib. I think that's apt, totally apt. Thank you so much. So going, I know that a lot of people are thinking, hey, they're just seeing all these wonderful things. Have they seen how the real business world is? The reality is that yes, it will be challenging, and it's not for business is not for the faint-hearted, right? It will be challenging, but then, like Habib said, there's a concept of baraka when we opt for what is right, right? Not only are we likely to be more in line with regulation, we're more likely to, be more appealing to customers over the long term. Obviously, immediately it might look like, maybe for example, you're being truthful to your customer, like they say, like in Yoruba, like you're being honest and transparent, and the customer, because of that, the customer is not patronizing you or whatever, or you're showing defects in the product and partner is not patronizing you. Your name will speak for you, right? So I think that, and that's also part of branding, and we will, hopefully in our business series we'll get to all those things. But as a business owner, just have it in at the back of your mind, some of these principles, some of these concepts, that you are responsible, right? You are accountable. There are other means to seek increase aside from just cutthroat competition, like we have in this world, and then justice and fairness. So we can go very quickly into product and and the production process. And products here is everything, including services. So if you're offering professional services as part of your business, you're selling financial products, or you're selling wangari or rice and beans, or whatever, chickpea, and whatever it is you're selling, or maybe you're into skincare products or clothes, whatever it is, products and production process. Remember that the foundation of Islam is that everything of fiqh is that everything is halal unless it is clearly stated as haram. Everything is halal unless proven haram, like they say, right? So
Yeah.
when you want to, when you have fundamentally, aside from you as a business, whatever product you're offering in the market has to be, something that is in line with the guidelines of the Sharia and the deen and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad sallam, right? So I think we know some of the common things that we shouldn't be selling, like alcohol, like ammunition. We shouldn't be involved in gambling. We shouldn't be doing a Ninja bets, shouldn't be very, involved in that. And even as much as those things look like they're so they're doing so well, like remember that, and he said there was something that Habib said the other time that really caught me. He said we say the end justifies the means, and our end, like I said, some people think that the end is in this world, but that is not the end. The end is in hereafter for a believer, that the ultimate end is with Allah, right? So when you're gone, um, what is going to be the end that you get to face, right? And so think of the means that you're going to get to that end. Now is through permissible dealings, and remember that there's a lot of halal options. There are a lot of halal options, a lot, and obviously there will be gray areas. We know that there will be gray areas. Like, I'm not sure whether this one I should do it, I should not do it, but always, we have religious advisors everywhere. We have our imams, and you can seek advice. Obviously, and one thing we were, when we were studying and preparing for this presentation, one of the things I really saw in the many of the hadith is that the Sahabas were keen to ask the Prophet. They didn't know everything. They were like, "Ya Rasulullah, we want to do this. What do you think? Can you do this for us? What do you think?" Like, they were always keen to ask for advice because they knew that there is now a guide in how we should live our lives, right? And they sought guidance. So don't just think that as a business owner you're left to your own self, or I don't know, I'll just do it anyhow. Just don't be scared to ask. Ask. Yes, there will be different opinions, but at least make a step to ask and do some research, right? If you're unsure, if this particular dealing is not permissible, or like I said, there will be gray areas, but they are the clear ones that we know: alcohol, gambling, pork, those things that pornography, like obviously all those things we know that we don't even want to be involved in, like maybe like owning a nightclub and things like that. We don't want to be involved in where those things are devoid of blessings because it has already been clearly stated that they are haram, right? So it's not like you go there and I'll be like, well, Allah bless it for me. No, there's nothing like that, right? So without banging too much on that, it's clear, right? And then seek guidance. Always, take the example of the Sahabas. They were very big in trade. They will ask, Prophet, should we sell this type of date? Should we know? There were times when the Prophet, because what was common amongst them is, for example, before that, before they would see it, they'll be like, oh, I want to buy that date on the tree. Even before it arrives, the Prophet said, no, don't buy that. Don't buy a date on the tree, or don't sell a date on the tree that has not ripened, because you don't know whether it would, come out good or not. So avoid things that will cause conflict. Avoid and we'll get into that, when Habib gets into the second area. So they always sought guidance, seek guidance, if you're unsure. If you think you're in a clear area, go ahead, do it, enjoy it, and make money, make profit. But one other thing we wanted to emphasize here was avoid wastage in the production process. And Allah SWT emphasizes so much in the Quran about wala tusrifu, do not be wasteful. And I think that that's one thing we should also emphasize, that whatever, if you're doing actual production, because some people are just doing services. If you're doing actual production of goods and services, then then you should be mindful of how you maximizing your production process. Are you making sure that you're not, because at the end of the day, the resources, like they teach us in economics, right? They say we have unlimited wants and limited resources. Isn't that what they say, right? So
Exactly.
we also want to be, remember that Muslims are also, we're also socially responsible, and so we want to make sure that we're not wasting. We're trying to be environmentally friendly, in the way we do things. So I don't know if Habib, what do you think about that one? Products and services. Did we do justice there, or do you have?
Yeah, I think you touched every area that
Mhm,
needed to
mhm,
be touched on,
mhm.
and it still boils back to the very thing we've said and we'll keep saying, in the sense that being in business practices, you just have to ensure that whatever dealings, whatever activities you do is in line with what uh, Allah and His prophets had prescribed for us. And like I said earlier, that He is a clear example of the path to even follow. So one just needs to check, and people would, for example, when you talk about the betting, I just laughed because like you said it aptly, like the end justifies the means. I know we had a debate about this betting thing. It's a very booming industry. You
Hmm.
know, it's a
Hmm.
billion-dollar industry,
Yeah.
and people would now say, at least it is putting food on the table for me. And people do not necessarily realize that it's not the end here. You get, it is
Hmm.
not about putting food on the table
And
for
table
you,
here.
you get, but somewhere that is far, far greater in terms of benefit and reward. And this should be what is at the core, you get, of the mind of a Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yes.
Because if we bring it down to maybe economic balance in the first
Yeah.
place, the truth,
Mm-hmm.
the betting industry do not necessarily generate any real economic activity.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And people get rich overnight by maybe winning so many matches or something. For example,
Mm-hmm.
you just
Mm-hmm.
get 100 million. And we know that basic economics teaches circular flow of income, whereby
Mm-hmm.
for it to even get rich, there must have been circulation of income, distribution of wealth
Hmm.
between A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You get? So for A to even get rich, B, C, D, and whoever that are below or whatever would have gotten some form of income. And
Mm-hmm.
this is a no-brainer. And this is what even economists too will agree with this. That this is
Mm-hmm.
how an economy grows. This is how societies thrive economically. But when you begin to make money, you get out of the blues by just maybe guessing. You get real economic transaction is not happening. Of course, people do not care because who cares if I'm rich? Who cares if I can feed? You understand? But there's
Mm-hmm.
no anyways. So I'll just leave it there.
All right. Thank you so much for that addition. Yeah. So I think Habib will be taking us through the next hot topic here, which is dealing with our customers. And they say customer is king, right? Our business people know that too well. Our
Yeah.
customer is king. So let's talk more about that.
Okay, so the first that we have here is full weight and measure. Um, I think as Muslim, we know that giving in full weight and measure, it's very, very important and is one of the most important ethical traits for you as a business owner or even as an individual. And Allah said this in numerous verses in the Quran, in Surah Al-Mutaffifin, where He said what means woe to those who give less in measure or weight and take by measure from others. They take from them food, and when they are giving, they give what? They give less. You get what did Allah say to them? Woe to them, shame on them. You get because this is a direct act of cheating and corruption. And to be fair with people, or should I say, a lot of these practices happens a lot in markets. You get where we try to hold back. You get when we are giving, but when we want to get maybe in terms of the pricing or whatever, we want to get everything in full.
Mm-hmm.
But business owner needs to be cautious about this act. It is a act that is largely frowned upon by Allah. And if you want to get that barakah, if you want to get that blessing, if you want to worship Allah while doing business, then you need to desist from this act. You need to desist from cheating. You need to desist from exploiting. You don't need to prey on people's ignorance. People do that a lot, especially in the marketplace. all money what they
Like,
scam people. You
scam.
get what it die. And because of this practice by sellers, particularly, you see people will go to 3, 4, 5, 6 merchants. You get before they now reach so that they don't get to be exploited. So it is very, very important. And in so many verses in Surah to Isra, Surah to Shuara, Allah talked about it very, very. For example, in Surah to Shuara, if I'm not mistaken, Allah talked about and always give full measure and wait with justice, which is what we've talked about initially in the mindset of the business owner, that you have to be just. So you also need to be just when you are giving, you get, and when you are taking, you need to be just and fair. So that is very, very important. So let's hold that close to our hand. Then the next is disclose defects. This is another big problem that as I myself on a daily basis, when you go to the market, you get you encounter, and don't let me be more focused on market. We even as an employee, you get in your workplace, you get this thing also speaks to us. It's not just the market men and women, it's not just those entrepreneurs, it's not just those business owners, for example, that this speaks to. Even as an employee in your workplace, you get you don't give small and demand more, for example, in terms of giving a full weight. So now let's go into defects, disclosing defects. It is important, very, very important that you are transparent. You get transparency in your dealings is also a very core value that people need to uphold. And in the process of getting the blessings and the mercy of Allah, you need to what? You need to, in the course of dealing with people, you need to be transparent. You need to disclose everything that is needed. Because at times you might think by, how will I put it? By shielding some things, it could be information. It might not necessarily be a product, a physical product. It could be information. You are scared that, oh, if you disclose this, right, that the person would maybe back out of a transaction or something. But you've forgotten the fact that Allah is the provider of sustenance. You get Allah is the one that provides. Remember, He has provided everything, everything you will eat in this world 50,000 years before you were even created. So why do you need to cheat? Thinking by the time you cheat, that is when you would gain more money. There's no baraka in that money when you try to what cover up things, when you try to what cover up information, when you don't try to disclose, when you're not transparent. You understand? When you're not transparent. And this is another thing that happened in the global financial crisis, for example. Disclosure, not disclosing, telling lies to people. You get giving people mortgage, right? Even knowing that they did not meet the criteria. And you know the worst thing that happened when I was reading through the story about this crisis is that those that gave this loan or mortgage were now betting against it. Subhanallah, they were betting against it. And guess what? Why millions of people you get all over the world lost one or two things or lost in different capacity. Some people made money from this, and they would be happy and say they are in business because they lied, they didn't disclose, they knew the true picture of the things, but what they chose to profit from people's misery. You understand? By what? By not disclosing the fact that they've productized what? Subprime products or mortgages, as it were, to people. And what was the aftermath? You get disastrous. So it is very, very important for as Muslims, as business owners, if you are selling, if it's a product, oh, this product is this, and this. You mentioned something about cream, all these natural creams, for example. There was an experience, or some people narrated an experience whereby people would tell you that their cream is organic, whereby they've put so many chemicals. You don't need this. Just put it. You get just put it there. Oh, it is 98% organic and 2% chemical. If they will buy it, they will buy it. Note, I repeat again, the concept of baraka. Note that it is Allah that provides. But of course, you can't sit down and think food will come to your table. You need to work. But just put your trust in Allah. So disclose it as it is. And if you're not comfortable with putting it, then it means that act is bad. Hence, you should what? You should take it
Stay
out
away from
rather
it.
than even what? Disclosing those defects. You understand? So,
Yeah.
and in Quran, Allah praised those that are trustworthy. He praised them a lot in different aspects, in different verses of the Quran. He praised them a lot. And the Prophet ﷺ said in a narration, in an hadith, he said, what means that the one who gives advice to his brother, knowing that what is better for him lies elsewhere, has betrayed him.
Hmm.
So just look at the rate at which people
You
betray each
betray.
other on a daily basis just because of they want to earn a living. You understand? And we do this knowingly, unknowingly. And when we see those naira or dollar, we are happy. Of
Hmm.
course, forgetting that concept of baraka. So
Mm-hmm.
the next is avoiding deception or exaggeration.
Situations,
So I
yeah.
think it goes hand in hand. You know, people oh my God, as in these are so many, these are common phenomenon that happens on a daily basis in trade, in commerce, in business, even as individual. We exaggerate things, even what it is not. We say it. We get just to drive home a point.
Just
And
to get them to
unknowingly,
buy.
just to get them to buy. For example, it will last you 20 years. When you buy maybe an electronic product, it will last you 20 years. We need to refrain from this act. You get be just in whatever you say. As in put a measure to whatever it is so that you don't say things that would fall into, there's a saying that like when you exaggerate, when you exaggerate, you might fall into a point whereby the sale that you're supposed to get, that Allah's mercy and baraka will be on, it what? It will be eroded away through what? Over exaggerating and lying. Lying. Say something that would not last 3 years, or something that maybe is even maybe a substandard product. You will say it's original. For example, you say it's original. Maybe you got it second hand, and maybe it's a refurbished. This majorly speaks to electronics. You rebrand a refurbished laptop and say it is new. Tell the person it is a refurbished laptop. If the person will buy, the person will buy. Don't tell the person it's a new laptop that will even last you 5 years. If the person swears for you, it will catch you. It will catch you. You get, so let's desist from these hacks, all in the what? In the hope of making money. All in the hope of making money. It is very, very wrong. Very, very wrong. Remember that Allah has praised those that are trustworthy. The prophet that talked about the consequences when you betray, when you lie, when you exaggerate, you are betraying your customer. You are betraying your customer. And there's this hadith again that the prophet said what's something around he said something that when truthfulness is lost, then the hour has arrived. And we're beginning to see that rampant every day. You get, and you'd agree with me, even as customers, when you want to go and buy something, at the back of your mind, you see your seller as someone that wants to scam you. To be sincere, it happens to me, and I'm very sure it happens to a lot of people out there. That you see yourself as someone that wants to scam you. Why? Because we made it a norm, a practice to lie just because we want to sell. So it's another practice that we do that we need to stop. You get, we need to stop that practice. Whether you're an employee, you're a business owner, you're a trader, in whatever little capacity, one needs to desist from these acts. I would
Yeah. Well said. lots of
next one
lots
is
of things to
leniency.
unpack here. I think we're running out of time, but because we don't want to hold
Yeah,
you too long. But I know there's just lots of things to unpack, and it's because of the things we see every day. When you transact with people, you see that ethics have been lost, right? And just talking about maintaining your trust, I think he has already talked about the fact that, and I think I think maintaining your trust for me is very important for people that are in the services industry, because you're not selling a product, you're selling a
yeah,
service. If you say, I will deliver this thing to you on so day, maintain your trust. If you say, I'm going to give you so many hours of work, maintain your trust. If you're a carpenter, I'll bring it to your house in whatever it is that you're doing, maintain your trusts. And these are
exactly.
creatures of people of paradise, people of virtue. Let us try. I know it can be hard. If you will not meet up with your deadline, communicate. There's no need to say, okay, definitely, just communicate. Um,
So
let us be people of
let's
integrity.
quickly run through leniency and maintaining trust.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
for leniency, for example, I think it is a no-brainer. It's been said in different texts, both in the Quran and the Sunnah, that Allah loves those that how will I put it, tolerant. For example, there's a saying that indeed Allah loves tolerance in selling, buying, and repaying. You get,
Yes.
remember the hadith where Allah talked about debt. If someone is owing you, it is better for you to give that person time. That is tolerance. You get, give the person
Mm-hmm.
time to
Mm-hmm.
pay. Indeed, in that there is a reward for you. So Allah imbibes tolerance, leniency. Be lenient with people. You get, provided you are very sure that they
Yeah, not
can't,
trying
they
to
don't have
scam.
the capacity at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important you are lenient with people. And Allah, in the Quran and the Sunnah, it's been said about the benefits, the praises to those that are lenient, those that are tolerant. You get, so there's another one. There's another hadith that states that the best of the believers is the man who is generous while selling and purchasing, and also
Mm-hmm.
seeking the returns of debt and making a demand. You understand? Then there's another narration again that whoever agrees with a Muslim to cancel the transaction, Allah will forgive his sins on the day of resurrection. These are all aspects of being lenient. You get, with one another. It's very, very important that we practice this leniency. Of course, knowing that your reward is from Allah and not that person that you're being lenient with. So the next is
Exactly.
maintaining trust. Trustworthiness. Everything we've said, you get, boys. Now, I said something that anytime you want to go and buy, sometimes people, let me tell you what some people do today. People will go to a Jumia or all this e-commerce platform, right, to go and check price, so that when they are going to the market, they have like an information about
Mm-hmm.
the price,
Mm-hmm.
so that people don't cheat them. What does that mean? There is no trust again in the marketplace. There is no trust because, and people need to know that truthfulness leads to trust, and trust leads to righteousness. And when you're righteous, Allah definitely will reward you. So we need to be, and trustworthiness for me is a no-brainer. You just have, and that will speak for you. You said something earlier that
Mm-hmm.
your ethics class, people that have imbibed ethical practices have in turn experienced blossom, or should I say improvement in their performances, in their business performance. It might be difficult to rationalize. We try to rationalize things as humans, and
Mm-hmm.
things that don't go with logic, we throw it away. We only go by things that goes with logic. But these are things that perhaps might go against logic. That you are trustworthy, you get, and how does trustworthy translate into profits for you? You get, and I think we've exhausted that a lot in terms of how being trustworthy in business as an employee on a daily basis helps you because of that concept of baraka. I would always keep saying it, that concept of baraka. At least anyone that watches this knows that
Mm-hmm. Take that away.
concept of baraka must be upheld. You must work with that. So I would just want to stop there because of time. So the next is selling. Important notes when selling. You want to talk about this, Latifa?
Yes, yes. Okay, yeah. So I can go into the important notes when selling. So we'll go through very quickly. These are just some technical aspects that we need to consider and things that the Prophet ﷺ himself pointed out, when he saw sale transactions and things like that. So when it comes to the general conditions, obviously when you're selling, when you're selling something, Nigeria now, and like general people, we want to sell and by force selling. Make sure that there's consent. Make sure that there's consent, right? Not like you're forcing this in the person's hands or whatever, there's consent of both parties. Sell what you own and you have right to. This is very, very important because I know in the financial world, this is, it's a whole industry of short selling where people borrow stocks and, you can't borrow something and sell it. And some people do it in the marketplace too, where they just borrow, my friend, please quickly borrow me, let me sell it to this person. Sell what you own, right? Because what if you can't deliver it? What if something happens and the other person changes their mind, right? Is to ensure that there's no deception as well, right? You sell what you own and have access to be able to sell, right? You have right to make terms clear. This is something that is very, very emphasized in when the Prophet said, I told you that there was many situations when the Sahabas went to the Prophet and they were like, what should we do here? What should we do here? This were situations where the Prophet clearly said, avoid ambiguous situations. Make sure that your price is clear, your quantity is clear, delivery time is clear, make terms clear, avoid, and this is what we call gharar when it comes to the field of Islamic finance. Avoid gharar, right? Avoid ambiguities. Like selling the fish that's, we say we do point and kill. That one is okay because you can see it and you can point it and you can say, okay, that's the one I want, right? But for example, you'll be like, sell me a fish in the water, or sell me like, just what if you get to the water and there's no fish, and you've already paid the price, that kind of thing. So these are things that we have to be very careful about because they can invalidate the sale transaction and it may be sinful. And then there's also money for money sales are not permitted, and those are the things that lead to riba, right? Like the Prophet said, if you want to exchange because dates was like their currency then, right? Exchange a pack of dates, with the same pack of dates. Don't take dried bad quality dates with good quality dates. If you're exchanging 5 naira for 5 naira, $5 for $5, £5 for £5, right? No excess, right? And this comes to people that maybe want to change money for you, like in the Nigerian setting, right? They would take 100 naira from you and give you 19 naira. That is an instance of interest, and that is except in the situation of foreign exchange where you're exchanging two different. So if you're exchanging, for example, dates and barley, that's okay. It can be in different weightage. But if it's dates and dates, barley and barley, if it's dollar to dollar, it has to be $100 to $100. But if it's £100 to $50, you can now decide what your exchange rate is. That's your business. No double selling, right? Don't buy. You've already sold this chair to somebody. Someone else comes tomorrow and says, please, I want to buy this chair for $50. Maybe the other person you sold it for $30. You now resell that same chair to the person. That is not even permissible. Especially if you've not confirmed to that person that he doesn't want it anymore. And you find a lot of housing agents. I don't know if you've been looking for house in Lagos or something. They do this, right? They'll tell you that come and pay your deposit. They've collected your deposit or whatever, right? Or they've told you that they're going to rent that apartment to you, and then overnight they just go and sell it to someone else for for whatever reason, or rent it out to someone else. Maybe because that person is paying before you or things like that, without necessarily saying that these were the terms. So and then avoid making false oaths. These are things that specifically mentioned. There's specific hadith, specific narrations of the Prophet that speak to this: no double selling, make terms clear. Avoid making false oaths, meaning that I swear, wallahi, this thing is kinikon, this thing is 100% quality. We will say all sorts of things just to make people buy. We shouldn't even be making oaths when it comes to business in the first place, right? And then also now making false oaths. Just say it as it is. You don't need to swear by whatever. Right? That's something that is frowned upon. And then when it comes to credit sales, credit sales are, a lot of us, we sell things on credit, right? So as a business owner, credit sale is perfectly okay. You can even collect collateral because there are instances. There's a narration from Umar where he put down his collateral, he put down his armor as collateral. So credit sales are permitted. Collateral is perfectly okay, but no interest charges. Permissible to charge extra for installment payments. So if somebody says, I want to buy this thing 1,000 naira, but I don't have money, can you allow me to pay over 12 months? Okay, you can buy it for 1,000 too. It is permissible by the majority of scholars to charge them because they are paying instrumentally. But what is not permissible is that if you already agreed 1,000, because they now said they weren't able to pay at the agreed time, you now increased it to 1,200. So that is not permitted. That is what is riba. Right, riba upon the payment date, you now say you want to increase it. You now give them, penalize them or something like that. That is not permissible. But agreeing on a higher price, it's okay. And then riba occurs when, so I think I said that, and then seeks to balance between fairness and justice, especially when it comes to credit. Credit is a very delicate thing in business in the sense that we know that people will not pay. If you don't sell on credit, they will not buy. They're not collected the credit again. They are not paying. It's a big problem. That kind of thing. Like you want to sell on credit so that people can afford to pay you. You want them to pay instrumentally so they can afford to buy your product. And the that you give them, they are not paying. So what I would just say is balance is very important here, where also assess the credit of the person before you give them just credit blindly. Balance between fairness and when you're demanding your payment, like Abib said, demand in a lenient way. give them time. If they don't, but obviously make sure that before you even give them the credit, you've assessed, is this person credit worthy or not? You've made your findings, or you've tested it 1 or 2 times, right? Let's be wise and let us balance between fairness and justice, because you also have to be just to yourself, right? You have your employers to pay at the end of the day. Alrighty, a lot of talk, a lot of things, right? Habib, do you want to take this one and then we can dive into the last pricing? Hello?
Okay, so for
Are you
pricing,
there?
yeah, I can hear you.
I
I
didn't see
can
you
hear
for a
you.
second there.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay, I'll share again.
So I heard you clearly. For pricing, I think as a Muslim or as a business owner, what you need to know is first, Islam encourages the free markets ideology, that is, allowing demand and supply to dictate the price in the markets, right? And also, it's also important that while pricing, you do not take advantage of people's ignorance. You get, this is common a lot in the market, and I think we said it earlier that people go to 7, 8 merchants before they maybe settle for one, because people love to take advantage of the ignorance of people. And I also said that in response to that, people go to online platform to go check price of goods and services before they go to the market and buy, so that they don't get cheated at the end of the day. So as Muslim, it's important that your pricing is just, your pricing reflects the prevailing market price. Let me use that word. And also that you do not necessarily charge overboard, knowing that whatever increase that you think you are getting by charging people exorbitantly, there is no blessing in it. You understand? There is no blessing. No one is saying you can't make, how will I put it, multiple fold on profit or something. There are people that make lots of profits and are within the confines of what is permissible. For example, it is important we note that. And what the Sharia, even what Islam frowns at, is charging a low price. For example, while we can speak and speak of not charging too high price in the course of being lenient with people, it is also a sin when you charge a low price, especially price that would not even cover your cost. There's no basis for that in Islam. You get, there is no basis for that. If you want to do charity, there are means to do charitable activities. But what is fair and just is what? Pricing your product and services within the confines of what the market prices this particular product and the likes. You get, it's very, very important. So even charging way, way lower, I don't know, I'm not sure there's any business person that will even charge below his cost. His cost,
Mhm.
I don't think so. But it's
Let's try
important
to
to
do
understand
cost
this. Yes.
strategies.
Yes. You don't go and say that because I want to please Allah and His Messenger, that I'm going to charge. I'm going to charge. Maybe it costs you 2 naira. You get, maybe it costs you 2 naira, and you say, okay, oh, you are going to put your selling price to at 2 naira. If you decide to do that, it could be a strategy. It could be a strategy to maybe attract a lot of customers. But what we are just saying is that it is not also, how will I put it? It is not piety, or let me use that word, to charge below your cost. You get, especially below your fixed price. Even as a business owner, you have some fixed price. Maybe you pay rent and the likes. It is not ethically sound to charge below this rate. You don't even need to be in business in the first place if this is how um, you intend to carry out your business. And we've talked about the issue of fixing prices if things are going up, right? That Islam frowns at it. And so people during the lifetime of the prophets came to meet the prophets and asking the prophets to increase the price. And the prophet said no, that he cannot increase the price. Of course, from the fear of Allah questioning him, you get, on doing that. So as Muslim, we believe in the free market terminology. Of course, there are times whereby intervention can come. You get, this is also allowed from the Sharia point of view. But basically, prices should be determined by the interplay of demand and supply. And you would see that the next thing is hoarding, because these go hand in hand. Hoarding kind of creates artificial hike in prices. You get, hoarding creates artificial hike in prices, and Allah and His Messenger has frowned in numerous ways about those who hoard goods. You get, Allah has frowned at them, and in fact, there is no blessing in that. And people do this a lot so that they can take advantage of the hike in price. Know that if you are in this category of people that hoard goods, maybe because there's scarcity, it happens a lot, or there is a sense that there is going to be a scarcity, people will now hoard, they won't sell to people, right? They won't sell to people. Then when that price is beginning to kick, that is when they will now start selling so that they can take advantage of that hike or that price differential. This is not ethical. This is not a sound business practice. So it's best for people, business owners, markets, business owners, traders, people in business to desist from this act. There's an hadith that says something about okay, like I mentioned, that during the lifetime of the prophet, people came to the prophet. So the narration was, when price rose during the lifetime of the prophet, people said to the prophet that, oh, please, can you help us fix the prices? Then the prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that whoever withholds, whoever gives lavishly, and I can't remember the third one. So the prophet was trying to say that those that engages in those acts, that is withholding, would not get would have done injustice and will receive the wrath of Allah on the day of judgment. So these are practices that are not in line with sound business practice, with the Quran, Sunnah, and the practices of the Prophet. So it's best we desist from it. I would like to hear your thoughts on this, Latifa.
Yeah, I think that hoarding is just a very simple one. Very, very simple. It's not even allowed for us to hoard. I mean, obviously, I know there is situations of like petrol scarcity, chemical, like, how those kind of situations. But if you're the one in the market and you're selling, don't hoard with the intention of raising prices, right? Because you're a major supplier of the particular product. You now say, okay, I'll just restrict this product so that the price will go up and people would have to pay higher. That's injustice, basically. So we're told not to do that. And then so we'll just go dive in quickly into like dealing with employees. There's 2 sections left. Thank you so much for being with us so far. I mean, we've touched up on a lot of things, and we hope that you're taking notes. You're also enjoying some of the things we're dropping. And for those who are not able to join us live, we hope that as you're watching later on, you would also take benefit, and feel free to message us on our social media and everything like that. Dealing with employees, I think that one is a very straightforward one as well, in terms of what Islam encourages, and what is give the worker his wages before his sweat dress. That's a clear hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu. And obviously, maybe not all of us are working in a place where there's sweat, there's AC, or maybe whatever. But obviously, the implication is that give him once he's done with his work, make sure that you are doing it on time. You're paying him. And I know with a lot of SMEs, it's difficult because you have to manage, or you have to pay your suppliers, pay bills, and then pay your employees at the same time. Sometimes the cash flow will not be there, right? But plan around it with the intention that I want to be able to pay my employees at parity, right? Employees at parity. I want to pay them on time, right? And also there's also the concept of paying them fairly as well, right? I know not every country has a good minimum wage standard, but if you can pay them fairly and you have the capacity to, please do, right? Yeah, and then there's a clear hadith that a man who hires an employee and gets full work from him and then does not pay him his wages, Allah will be his adversary, right? So you get full work from them and you don't pay them. Let us be people of conscience, let people of justice and fairness, right? And I won't be surprised that these things are common out there. But please let us people will say delay your payments and accelerate your receipts. Make sure that we're paying these employees on time, right? That is accounting. They'll say delay your payments. So now
Yeah.
going to the last bit, financing and funding is a hot topic. We hope that as you follow us on this series, you will find a lot of insights on financing and funding. You would enjoy, you gain a lot of benefits. But we just wanted to touch upon it because it's also a very fundamental part of your business ethics. debt and loans, make sure that when you're taking a loan, right? Remember the longest verse in the Quran is just talking about documenting a loan. That's exactly what is, and Allah is taking his time to explain, because this is very, very important. That when taking a loan, we document, we make sure that we have witnesses, right? And I know some SMEs might not take loan from financial institutions. They might be taking a loan from your cooperative, you might be taking a loan from your friend. Make sure that it is properly documented, right?
Yeah.
And then avoid interest bearing loans. Obviously, that is a fundamental part of our understanding as Muslims. And then hasten to repay. Right, there is don't be of those, like I said, delay payments. Right, if you're as you are buying, as you are making profits from your business, make sure that obviously fundamentally in accounting you'll say you pay your creditors before you even pay your investors, right? But even from an Islamic point of view, your creditors should make sure that you pay them, because there are great consequences of somebody who dies with debt. For example, somebody who dies with with debt that he hasn't paid. We know that there are strong narrations from the Prophet ﷺ of not praying janazah on somebody that dies without paying his debt. So hasten to repay. Don't be of those people who would they'll come and bang your door 1 million times before you pay. So let us have those principles. Those are the ethics that a believer should have. You know, People they'll be happy to even give money, like, this guy pays, or even pays before the day is due, go. And we a lot of us cannot do without debt and loans, right? A lot of us as small businesses, you always want one extra resource here and there. So let us make it as part of our ethics that we're amongst those who are documenting, who are hastening to repay, and who are avoiding interest as well in the whole process, and obviously looking for halal ways. And we're hoping that as you follow us on this series, you will get more insights on that halal ways to navigate debt, to fund your business, and to go to the next level, inshallah.
Yeah,
That's it. Go ahead.
just
Oh, yeah,
to
Habib.
just to put a like icing on it, I
Mm-hmm.
would want to come from a reminder to us. Having
Mm-hmm.
said all these things, be
Mm-hmm.
careful, don't do this, don't do that. Also note that the Quran says, Allah says what means in the Quran, that and seek the home of the hereafter with your wealth, with that wealth that you've made,
Mm-hmm.
that Allah has given you. And also, do not forget your share in this world. It is Allah that said
Exactly.
so.
Well,
Do
that's
not
it.
forget. So seek that wealth, pursue it. If you want to be the next Warren Buffett, mashallah, do it. But ensure that you do what is
It
what
takes time,
needful.
right?
Then another saying is, there's an hadith that said, do not be lazy in earning your livelihood. And no one will die before attending the last year of his predestined livelihood. So
Mm-hmm.
seek well your bread, accept the lawful bread, and
Mm-hmm.
reject the unlawful one.
Exactly.
So
I like that. I like
this
the bread.
words frames
Analogy.
everything that you need to do in the process of acquiring wealth. You get why you are in business. So
Thank you
I would
so
want to
much.
end there. Thank you very much.
Jazakallah
And
khairan.
I don't know if you have any, maybe one or two questions before we quickly wrap up. I know
Yeah.
we have spent
We spent, yeah, almost 2 hours
yeah,
here. So an hour 40 minutes thereabouts. So yeah, I mean, questions, comments, anything. We don't want to take too much of your time. People are still in the middle of their day getting things done, whether at work, whether getting that order in for the customer, attending to your suppliers, whatever it is. Feel free to drop us comments as well. If you don't have time to do it here, drop it on our social media. We are live on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then YouTube here as well. So please feel free to engage with us. We want to
so
hear back.
while we are hoping one question will come in,
Mhm.
also it's bit for anyone that is in business. Note that the business that you do very early in the morning, Allah's blessing is on it. Because
Mhm.
during the lifetime of the prophet, there is a companion of his that tries as much as possible to send his good out very, very early in the morning. And by that, the companion became very, very wealthy. So, in essence, whatever you are doing, try as much as possible to take advantage of the early hours of the day to do whatever things you need to do, because in that period there are lots of blessings in anything you do, of course lawful ones, not unlawful ones. So
Yeah, we see Adeyemi Sekina. Thank you so much for watching from Ilori all the way. We're so excited to have you on. Thank you so much.
so it's like
Um,
everyone understood everything we've said, and
yeah.
they would go
Yeah,
back,
Lady
start
Abike is enjoying
practicing
our
it.
session. Thank you so much, Lady.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we don't want to take too much of your time. We're gonna round up now, but guess what? There's more to come. It's gonna be monthly. So follow up for social media page so you get the prompts, you get the you can drop us comments, you can engage with us, you can know more about the things that we do and follow us. So stay tuned, people. Stay tuned. Jazakallah khairan.
Thank you.
All right then.
Jazakumullah khairan
Thank you.
for
Thanks so
joining
much,
this
Habib,
session.
as well.
Thank you,
It's been a long
Latifa.
chat.
You
All
did
right
justice to
then.
everything.
All right
Thank
then. I
you.
pray people find benefit in it, inshallah.
Yeah.
Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.